Suzanne, tell us about your membership program. That looks really exciting. What do you
It's been in the works for a while. The group is called the Carefree Souls because I'm based in Carefree, Arizona. And long ago, my clients gave me the nickname the Carefree Medium. And we've all done some growing and changing during the last couple of years, especially because there's been so much pressure on us. You know, if we were these bits of lovely coal before, we've certainly been polished into diamonds. And I know a lot of you are emerging into new sort of frequencies in your life right now. Mine is, I've always loved teaching, the best of all. My mom said I was like 2 years old, organizing all the kids in the neighborhood and forming clubs and setting up rules and things like that, and organizing games and activities. So I am very dedicated to teaching. I have an online school called Intuition Educator. And in our membership group, we meet a couple times a month. And we do a Q&A with spirit guides where people can ask specific life issue questions. And they can also ask questions about metaphysics, things above the norm. And I never know what guides are going to come in and help, or if it's research that I've been fortunate enough to be involved in directly or indirectly that will help answer the question. But we also have a private Facebook group and people join where they can interact. We have a couple different meetings every single month now. So lots of things are going on. It is so wonderful that everybody now knows how to use Zoom. Diane and I were early adopters 5 years ago, and she used to spend forever teaching people how to use Zoom. And now everybody's like, it's on Zoom, right? So it's really opened up a big world. But what I'm here for tonight to talk to you about is pushing evidence to the limits, getting that evidential information that no one could possibly know. But first, I want to say I'm not talking about the secret code word that the sitter is expecting to hear. I'm talking about what the spirit, the soul, wants to get through. So my very first, I guess, rule, if you want to call it that, is as a medium, we work for the spirit world. The living pay us, and we pay our bills through the living, but we are there to satisfy the spirit. The way to get the great evidence is to let the spirit people know that you are there to work for them, not there to pull on energy and try to give the sitter what he or she wants. You are there to serve spirit. So I understand that several of you are developing mediums, professional mediums, teachers, and then others simply have an interest because you want to learn how to make your own direct connection with your own beloveds who are in the spirit world. So you still want to understand mediumship, because when someone tells you, oh, I'm picking up on your loved one and they're telling me XYZ, you need to have the discernment to be able to evaluate the evidence that's being given to you. It's very difficult to get evidential mediumship yourself from your loved ones, your own loved ones. You can communicate with them. They can give you signs, symbols, synchronicities, dream visits. You can commune with them in out-of-body or astral experiences, but you know so much about them. You're not pursuing evidence to prove that consciousness survives physical death, are you? They're your loved ones, but you need to understand the mechanics of mediumship and what constitutes good evidence to keep the standards of mediumship up, okay? And so for those of you who aren't developing and you're like, I just want to see what this medium teacher lady has to say, that's where I'm coming from, is high standards. For those of you who are developing, I'm going to give you actionable things that you can do to make your evidence more compelling. We all want to get those things that there's no way anyone could know. And I'm going to give you an example. one time I was doing a reading on Zoom for a gentleman, and I always turn the camera off because I want to save the bandwidth for good sound quality. Plus, I don't want to be distracted by their face. So even if somebody was in my office, I'd say, I'm not going to be looking at you. And all of a sudden he hit me with, what's my secret nickname? There's no way anybody could know it. Not on social media or anything like that. And it always just kind of rankles me when somebody says something like that, like I care where you are, because I'm going for the good stuff. I'm going for what the spirit wants to say, not what you've put out there. And he says, I need to know my nickname. So I launch right into this lecture of, wait a second, you're not in control of the reading and you don't get to prescribe exactly what you want to hear. Da, 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 da. The gentleman's father came in through spirit and said, oh, here's his nickname, give it to him. He won't do the rest of the reading unless you give it to him. Gives me this odd nickname. And so I said it. And he says, wait, that's it. Yay, you're real. This is real. And I said, yeah, but I'm kind of irritated with you right now because we've set this up to where you're going to expect that mediums are going to give you like a laundry list of what you want to hear. And he said, no, I'm very involved in a research group and we're looking for evidence for validations that mediumship is, something that is really true and that there are good mediums out there. And I said, well, okay. So I did the rest of the session. Months later, even a couple of years later, I'm still hearing from, oh, I'm in this group with so-and-so. And he was like, the atheist that found Jesus. And he's taught a lot of classes. He's writing a book now. And I thought, okay, well, spirit must have had a bigger mission because it is very, very rare for a sitter to compel me to go and fish for the evidence that they have on their laundry list of things that they want to hear. I would much rather surprise them with what the spirit wants to give them that they were not even thinking about, that is compelling to them. Does that make sense? Okay. So let me tell you folks, how do you hone your abilities to push your evidence to the highest level that you can? And one of the very first things is, if you see that pillow behind me, it says relax. There's a reason why this pillow is in this room. This is my office at home. I also have the office that I see clients in, but it's been mostly shut down for a while. So I never have clients in my house, but I'll work in this room. And when I walk in, it's like I don't do anything else in this room myself. I only work in this room. So when I walk in, there's a tendency for me to go, dun, dun, dun. Oh boy, what do they expect from me today? Everybody thinks I'm so great. I better be on, da, 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 and get myself very stressed out. And what happens when you get just a little bit of fear or tension? It's the reptilian part of the brain, I believe it's called the limbic system, starts to kick in. Cortisol starts to move around, and that is not the part of your brain that is going to connect with spirit. So if you activate the stress within you and you start to get that, what is it, fight, flight, fright, if you start to get that kind of pressure on yourself, you're going to do a couple things. One is you're going to squeeze and contract the energy so that you only get so much. The other thing is you're going to wear yourself out, because I've done sessions where every bone in my body is tensed, every muscle feels tensed. And in fact, when I first started, I would be so wiped out. I would feel like I had to go lie down after one session because I would be so tense and so focused. And I started to notice, and I've started teaching this with my clients too, that some of the best evidence came when I just said, oh, let's just do a reading. Okay, what time is it? 10 minutes till. What's their first name? Okay, I'm just going to meditate. yeah, okay, what are we going to make for dinner? And just relax. Just relax. You're ready. You've had a practice of prayer and meditation. You're grounded and centered. You're not hungover. You're not hungry, but you're not too full. I mean, hopefully you've observed a lot of good practices. Just relax. Don't worry about it. And I've had students tell me, Suzanne, you're absolutely right. At first, I was so nervous about the session I was going to do. And I decided, I don't care. If it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'll know in the first 10 minutes. If it doesn't go, I'll just say, hey, it's just not working here. Maybe I'm not your medium. Maybe it's not the day or whatever. And just kind of like, it's like, I just sat down and did it. That's great. That is very, very important. I'm going to give you another tip for getting your evidence so much better. Demonstrate. If you are working on your mediumship, you're a student, or whether you're a professional, demonstrate. Okay. Jesus performed miracles and he demonstrated. Now, this does not mean that I'm telling you to be like Jesus or anyone else for that matter. But you're going back to the story about the gentleman who got his really off the wall secret nickname given to him. As I look back over the last couple of years, Spirit had a purpose for that because he needed to be converted to believing that consciousness survives physical death. And Spirit has a master plan on the other side of life for what's unfolding. When Spirit sees you demonstrate, they say, wow, Suzanne's really serious about this. They start talking about you on the other side. They choose you. The spirit world will choose their medium for their loved one to go to and start setting up coincidences. Start getting them to look online, research. I've had people say, I can't believe how I found you. There's a strange story. I just was starting to do a Google search and somehow your website came up before I even entered all the search terms. Things like that will happen. They will take you more seriously when the spirit world knows that you're taking your work more seriously. Now, right about now, you're saying, sure, you've been on a stage in front of 800 people, Suzanne. It's easy for you to say demonstrate. It is my favorite thing to do. I actually haven't for several months now done one-on-one mediumship because it wears me out. I want to do other things. But any chance I get to go on a stage, I am there because the energy is so beautiful and there's so much of it. And I know I can affect all these people. You can demonstrate with 5 friends of friends. All you have to do is have 1 or 2 friends get a group together for you. You can do it like this on Zoom. Remember that spirit transcends time and place, and just prepare them accordingly. You know, tell them about how much experience that you've had. Tell them, bear with me. For example, here's another tip. Some people have a great gift with names from spirit and some people don't. For me, it's totally random. I can get 10 names in one reading and the next 5 readings, no names are coming in. Everything else, I never know. But when I was first learning, a teacher told me, and I told my students, just tell your sitter, names are new for me. Would it be okay with you if I just practice, and if a name is wrong, you don't hold it against me? You don't throw out the whole reading because I get a name wrong. Is that cool, so that I can get my practice in? And that's how you prepare to demonstrate. You get that little group together and set their expectations. Make sure your friends who are doing this, tell them, look, this is practice. Gary has had just a year of training or just 6 months of training. His teacher has said he's ready to practice demonstrate. And know that your first goal is do no harm. Nothing scary, bad, anything like that. And, you know, be careful with your words. And your second goal is to be evidential. You want to identify the spirit, male, female, family member, friend. Maybe you can get, I can't tell you everything about mediumship in one meeting, but after you do the identification in whatever way you're doing it, then the evidence, are they holding anything in their hand? Are they showing you any symbols? And then their message. Often I've seen people demonstrate that will stand and give names and addresses and even phone numbers, but I want to know what's the message. I know who my people are. I know where they lived. I know their names, but always give some kind of message, even if it feels like the message may feel trite, like I love you. You never know. That could be the one spirit that never said it in life. But it's the identification first, the evidence second, and then the message, not just message, because it's incumbent upon us to know exactly where our information is coming from. So the first thing is relax. You know what you're doing, hopefully. But you know how to get to Carnegie Hall is practice, practice, practice. So you do have to practice. Even my students who say, I never want to do this professionally, I want to learn how to do it for myself, need to practice. And then the second thing is demonstrate, get in a group of people. I was doing a small group reading for, I think, like 8 or 10 people before I ever got on a stage. Went back to my teacher and said, hey, I finally did it. And he was like, what? You did a small group? That's way harder than 50 people. And I said, well, I didn't know. It went okay. But the spirit world will start taking you more seriously. Now, the next thing is don't settle. Don't settle with the evidence. If the spirit is coming in, here's an example, and they show you, let's say they smoked a pipe. And this is an example of, I actually listen to student readings and critique them. And this is a real example where I went to the student afterwards and said, that was really cool how you said, I have the grandfather here and he's showing me his pipe and he smoked a pipe. And so I said, student, did anybody ever smoke a pipe around you? Oh yeah, my grandfather did, my uncle did. I said, do you remember what it smelled like? Like, oh yeah, there were some that were like cherry. There were some that were really earthy. And he said, here's something you could have done. You could have said, let me smell the pipe. You could have said, what kind? They could have shown you a cherry. They could have shown you a piece of wood, something to get, that could have been really even more meaningful. And right now somebody's going, wow, Susanne is such a tough teacher. I'm never going to take a class with her. But that purpose of that was, this is an advanced student who wants better evidence. You don't settle if you don't have to, but you don't spend a ton of time on it either. I have a symbol, the red apple. If the spirit person is holding the red apple, they were a teacher of some kind. Sometimes it's been someone in human resources and learning and development, course curriculum, whatever it was, but it goes back to teaching. Sometimes they're in the classroom in grade school. If they're putting the apple with the sitter is the teacher. That's how it works for me. It may not work that way for you. But I've since learned to ask, oh, what does he teach? What do you teach? Can you impress that upon me? And this conversation is happening in my head. My sitter does not hear it, and it happens in a split second. Here's something really great about that. After I've done it 3, 4, 5, 6 times in different sessions, when it's come up, it becomes automatic. The spirit people are talking to their guides. There are those whose job it is to help get the communication through. My guides are saying, yeah, Susanne likes to know what kind of teacher you are. I'm not getting the information from guides there in a mediumship reading, but the guides can help and say, yeah, she always asks what kind. Philosophy, that word just pops into my head, or I hear it clairaudiently through my throat chakra, or I can see it. If I see it, sometimes it'll be written in red, and I'll see it objectively as though it's an object in the room, or subjectively as though it's in my mind's eye. But the thing is, if you don't ever ask, clarify, or you don't ever go out on a limb and try to do just a little bit better, it could take forever. You may not ever get that really, really great evidence. But if you start making a habit of it, the spirit people come into your energy and they start to check you out. And they realize there's a whole database in that medium's consciousness that we can pick and choose from, and we can amplify our information. This means that after we've identified who we are, we've given evidence that it's really us. When we send that message through that medium, our loved one is going to know it's straight from our heart to theirs. And that, my friend, is good mediumship. So there's a couple of points there. It is a lot of practice. It's a lot of work. But let me tell you how to do it and make it easier on yourself. You got to write this stuff down, people. You got to do it. I have tons and tons and tons of legal pads and notepads full of notes. And for a long, long time, this has probably been about, I don't know, gosh, I'm going to say about 14, 15 years ago. I had lists of symbols and different things. If they showed me this, it meant this. If I heard this phrase, it meant that. And I would keep them on these pieces of paper smudged with coffee and lipstick and stuff like that on my altar, wherever I meditated. And I would set them there, put my hand on it and go, okay, spirit people, review this. I work really hard. I've got this database up here. Here it is, and I give gratitude. Thank God that I'm a note taker and I'm serious about making this really, really evidential. And it works. So does it happen overnight? No. Does anything good happen overnight? No, most of us have some talent. We feel a calling and we work at it. And so I'm hoping that you find at least one little golden gem from what I've just shared with you. And if you just take one thing and use it and practice it, you will be signaling the spirit world, I am ready to let my light shine more brightly. Yes? Gonna get a thumbs up? Okay. Well, I said to myself, don't go over 20 minutes. It's about 20 minutes, 22 minutes right now, because I want to have time for questions and interaction. I'm ready, and I would like to see some discussion or on this topic or improving mediumship or an experience that you've had. I'm open.
Thank you so much, Susanne, for doing this with us. My question is, what is your meditation practice? How would you characterize it?
It is really about trying to be thankful, even when it doesn't feel like there's much to be thankful for. Be consistent with that. It's finding something that I appreciate. One of the things that helps me the most is my dog. Looking directly into his eyes, our pets, whether you have a dog, cat, ferret, horse, whatever it is, they have this unconditional love and support, and they're there with us for a reason. So one of the things I like to do is fill my heart to where it feels like it's going to explode with love. And I find I can do that really easily looking into my pet's eyes. When I get that feeling, I want to move it through my body. And I'm very kinetic in my energy. I move my hands up to open up, and I move my hands down to rebalance and close down, some open just the right amount for me. I will make a Reiki symbol and walk through it in the room. I mean, my meditation even extends to watering my plants. It is never really about sitting in total silence unless I feel called to sit in total silence. I also talk to the spirit people everyone who's coming in today, guides who are coming in today. I'm working on clear, accurate healing messages for each of my clients one by one. And by the grace of God, that's what I'll do. So I try to be a living meditation. And so that means it's on all the time, but I'm not receiving all the time. Does that make sense? You know, people tell me I'm either on or I'm off. I'm on, but the volume is turned down. I don't know how to be completely off, but I can completely turn the volume down unless those are my guides or my souls. So I'd say my whole life is a meditation practice. Even when I'm a little cranky butt lady, you know, I will find a way to pull myself out of that and go, yeah, but you know, spirit people, they're watching right now and they're thinking, oh, this poor dear, you know, she's got so much going for her and all she's doing is being cranky. And find humor, you know, poke fun at yourself. And meditation to me has been the real limiter I've seen with my students over the last decade, where they say, I can't meditate, I'll never be able to do this. I can't meditate, I can't be intuitive. I can't, and they're like, well, what are you trying to do? And they'll tell me, you know, I try to sit for an hour and a half, or I try to do this mantra over and over. I'm like, go for a walk, you know, but make it consistent. As far as sitting really, really quietly in prayer, 5 or 10 minutes, that's all I need. But that's me. You have to find your way and be consistent with it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure. A big, long answer, but that's it. It's about who you are. It's about how you conduct yourself through the day. That's your meditation. That's your preparation.
Thank you so much. I'm a practicing medium, and I'll tell you that my big sticking point is I work during the week and I do readings on the weekends just so I'm not tired. And I used to just do one a day because I just sort of freak out by how do I transition? So then I do 2, or then I do 3 on a Saturday, let's say. But then all 3 readings had a string of pearls. And the second reading and the second string of pearls, I'm thinking, I get in my own way because I'm thinking, oh, that's from the last reading. And yet, you know that spirit uses economy. So if maybe they lined up 3 people who had a string of pearls, but how do you transition from one to the other? And how do you get out of your own way so that you're not second guessing yourself from the reading before?
Yeah, that is a real common question in the classes. I go back time and time again into process, you know, a ritual, something that says that one's done, on to the next. And for me, it has become as simple as white light shower, let it go. And even in development circle, the circle that I sat in many years ago and the ones that I've run are closed circles. So we're not, you know, educating 5 new people every week who just want to get in there and get a message, we are closed, meaning the same people sit the same time, the same day, every week. You get very advanced, but you don't share outside of the circle. So we don't know each other's lives. We can still get things for each other and know that they're evidential. And I know one time sitting in the circle, I was like, man, I feel like I got something for him and it should have been for her. And I'm getting my wires all crossed. And this teacher just said, take a shower. And I was like, what? It's like, what color light do you see around you? And I said, oh, it's white. Take a white light shower. So that became my thing. It's like, white light shower. That's it. But what that does is it's a ritual, but it is also signaling your own team, your own guides, your own angelic realm people, your healing guide who's with you, your communication guide. So whatever must be done in your auric field is done. They're like, oh, she's doing that white light shower. Get in there, chisel off that little piece that's hanging out. You know, whatever energetically needs to be done is being done behind the scenes. I know this because I'm clairvoyant. I can see them start to move around me, and they're doing something, but they're doing it because I said white light shower. Maybe something different for you. Find it and stick with it.
No, that's helpful. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And the other thing is the prayer. That's part of my like living meditation is, may I get clear, accurate healing messages for each of my clients today, one by one. You know?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Hi, Suzanne. How are you? It was really interesting for me to hear your method of trying to achieve evidential messages, because with all the British stuff I've done, they talk about it so differently.
Yes.
Yeah, and the way they talk about it is trying to feel that link or that person with you. And they say the closer the person can come to you, the more information you can get, is what they've always taught us.
Yeah, I've heard that too at a school over there.
Yeah.
Doesn't really work for me. I always feel like the spirit is somewhere around here, but not like in my face or anything like that. And if I feel like I need to do like I call it a reset, where I'm thinking, either the client's really not placing this information or I'm not connecting very well, I'll just say, well, I'm sending energy from my heart space to your spirit, and see if that, cranks up the energy a little bit. And it usually does, but I don't feel like I have to pull anybody to me.
It's not a pulling. I don't feel like I'm pulling them. I feel like they come to me.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. And usually it's on my left side. Sometimes when two people come, it might be on both sides. I've had that happen where two sets of people have come in a situation. But I know, because I'm always asking to trying to get closer to spirit. And I know when I'm close to spirit, they're just telling me stuff.
Yes.
I'm not even thinking, and I'm not even asking questions. They're just telling me stuff, and I'm just repeating it.
Well, and how long have you been doing it?
Oh, I don't know.
Many years?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't have to ask a lot of questions anymore either. But in the beginning, I did.
Oh, yeah. I'll just say one thing, and this will help people. In the very, very beginning, when I started doing mediumship, I was working with British mediums and American mediums. And I realized that the British mediums always had a person, always had a link there. And so I told Spirit, I said, always give me a link first. And now what they do with me is they'll give me a person, and they'll usually tell me who that person is for the individual I'm reading for, like their mother or their uncle or whatever.
Yeah, I wonder if people are familiar with linking, blending. Sometimes it's called different things, but the link is, for me, I feel the spirit makes the link. I feel it come to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
I can feel like there's a presence, a pressure, but it's not that they're right there. It's just the energy is linked to me. And then I just sort of relax into it. And the pushing for like more information isn't even a push or a pull or any kind of tension at all. It's more of like an unfolding, where instead of just settling for, let's see, what would be another example? Okay, let's say, oh, this is kind of funny, but I had somebody who was kept showing me the golf clubs and the golf clubs. I'm like, God, the golf clubs. Is it, I'm thinking, is it specific golf clubs? And I know, just say I'm a golfer. And I say, great, what's your score? But before I could even say, what's your score? The number was just kind of hanging in front of me. And I would say, whatever it was, your dad or your granddad was always around this score. And they go, oh my God, the last game we played, I still have the card, and that was his score. So It's like, yeah, it just happens like that. But in the beginning, when you're new, when you're developing, there's a tendency to just settle for what comes in and not wait or not even open or unfold to just that little bit more. So if you start as you're developing, wait a bit before you blurt, but not too long. You don't want the moment to pass, but they may be giving you just that little bit more that makes all the difference. And as you start doing that, they relax with you too. I've had souls tell me they're a little bit nervous coming in because they wanted to work. So the more you relax and flow with it, the better it is all around.
But that's the key point. The key point
Yeah.
is to relax with it and not let your mind get in the way. I see so many starting mediums that'll get up there and they'll start to give a message and then they'll go, well, I'm not really good with names and blah, blah, blah. And that breaks the link, that breaks the connection.
Yeah. Yeah. You will be, on some days you'll feel like my mediumship's on fire. And on other days you'll think, oh, maybe this was supposed to be a day off, whatever it is. But you have to just let that be okay.
Yeah. Really,
just let that be okay. And don't take anything personally is really important. That's part of that relaxing is, I remember in the very beginning, some of the most evidential things I did were like my first dozen readings where somebody finally convinced me to sit. I'll bring in sitters for you that were double blind, whatever. And because I thought, well, I got nothing to lose. And then it started to become more profession. And I would make myself nervous. And I go, I'm just not on today. I don't know what happened. Well, my ego happened. My ego is like, you know, this is a good saying. Somebody told me once, for as many times as you can be right, don't be afraid to be wrong. You know, makes a big difference.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Well, thank you very much.
Oh, thanks for weighing in. That's pretty cool.
Astrid, you have to unmute yourself, love.
Yes, yes. Hello there. Nice to see you guys. Hi, Suzanne. I loved your book. At least I think it was your first book. Love what you had to say. I almost drove out to get a reading with you. You were doing a group thing in 2017, but I didn't have the money and I couldn't go after all. But I really wanted to talk to ask you.
I'm doing group mediumship online. So
okay,
I will check that out. I'll tell you this though, in the individual sessions, I've sort of moved into helping people live their lives. And so I'm connecting with individuals as time permits with their guides and with their self-actualization, which is really cool. But as far as the mediumship, I hope that up until the day I leave this life, that I can get on a stage, whether it's on Zoom or in a room, because there's nothing like that love in that big room. But sorry I missed you on that, but there'll be other opportunities.
No, that's okay. Oh, I think this one was at your house. It was like 6 people. It was at your house, and I was going to drive up there, and and I didn't get to go. But I just want to know from someone like you, because I like a lot of what you have to say. I have been studying hard, and sometimes not as hard, but for 6 years, and meditating and doing everything out there. And I have overworked, underworked, relaxed, not relaxed. I'm a musician, singer. I've had terrible stage fright since I was a kid. I have PTSD and trauma. And I feel like all that's I had someone a few weeks ago tell me I needed to get rid of all my trust issues, or my mediumship will always be hit and miss. And to be honest with you, it's kind of more miss than hit. And I want something stronger with my own people. And I definitely don't trust myself enough to take money from people, even though I'd love to have it as a profession. So what do you tell people like me? What's the answer for people like me?
To go within and to begin, and don't expect it to happen in a day or a week or even a month, but ask God, angels and guides to direct your path. What is the purpose of my gifts? But when you ask that question, be very careful that you don't limit it to one area of your life. I can't tell you how many times somebody has taken an intuition development class or a mediumship development class or past life regression type of class with me and said, I started with this class, but then I figured out I'm supposed to write my book of poetry. I started with this class and then I figured out I need to go and get my teaching credential. And it's like, sometimes your exploration of mediumship is all about pointing you somewhere else too, or
Well, I'm an
pointing you
excellent
to where your
psychic.
mediumship,
Right.
or
Right.
pointing you to where your mediumship needs to be. I've also had people say, I realize now I'm a healing medium. I'm meant to be working with healing, and I've seen
Right.
a lot of people shifting into healing. Are you guys too? A lot of people
Well,
are
I'm an
going into.
excellent psychic. I always have been. It's
Mhm.
natural. I don't even have to work at it. But to be honest with you, it is much more rewarding, comforting people than listening to people complain about their lives. And I have been offered high-paying jobs, and I just don't want them. I'd rather talk to people to make them feel better about their loved ones. But I just don't, like you said, with the evidence, the memories, I don't get them. If we have a conversation about their loved one, I do great. But with all the preaching out there about evidential mediumship, you kind of get nervous about feeding the medium, but that's what I need. I need to feel from them so I can feel from their loved one. And I don't know how to describe that, how to advertise that or how to develop that. Let's put it that way.
You're still in development. Your teacher will tell you, and this is an important point. I'm glad you raised it. Don't unleash your services on the public or demonstrate until your teacher says you're ready. That's one of the things in the United States we're missing. And I'm sure in other countries too. The teacher will tell you you're ready. I once had a student where I had to say, look, there's nothing else. Don't sign up for another class, for God's sake. Do it, do it. You got to go do your thing. But know this, that anything that you're going to be really good at in your life, you're going to have to develop yourself. And this is for everybody. This is not just a direct answer to your question. It applies to me too. This is about self-actualization. Know thyself. Know where you can stretch, where you have boundaries, and where you need to forgive yourself, where you need to forgive others, where you need to give compassion to yourself, where you need to give compassion to others. And as a medium, the spirit world will send you people that reflect back what you most need to heal. So if you're getting a lot of clients and issue X keeps coming up in the sessions, that's probably something that you need to heal in yourself as well. So it's all about development. It can be frustrating as a teacher when, how do I say this? When I have the perpetual student that has gone, I always say check out 3 or 4 teachers, but I don't mean study 5 years with one and 5 years with another and 5 years and 5 years and 5 years before you figure out what your gifts are. A lot of people tell me they're frustrated. They've spent a lot of time, they spend a lot of money. I'm like, that's not what you're doing this for. You're doing this to be a better soul on earth. If you're studying mediumship, it's just really, really frustrating when people either go out way too soon and put up a website and they're not ready and they don't know what they're getting into, and then they have almost like a nervous breakdown. And it's also frustrating when people can't fish or cut bait, as my granddad used to say. Get your teacher said you're ready, go do it. And I've seen both. Somewhere in the middle is just right.
I'm not a medium and I'm really new to this. I just wondered if you could give me and everybody else a summary or tips on how to contact a loved one.
Your own loved ones?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. This is where I do like a nice long meditation. I like the guided meditations that any number of people, you can try them out, but the ones I find are most effective in my own anecdotal studies of, I used to also do one-on-one a lot in development and leading people through guided connections. What I find to be most effective, and this is just my findings, is creating a meeting place that you make as real as possible so that you can see it, hear it, feel it, smell it, whatever, and send the imagery in your mind through your heart chakra, through your consciousness to your loved one and say, I want to meet you there. I want to meet you there in meditation, and do it ahead of time. Make a plan, set a date, set a time, and do it every week until it works. A lot of people, it works on the very first time. It helps to choose to create that place. If it's a real place that you both have shared, the back porch, the beach, you can see the beach chair, you can feel the sand in your feet, all those sorts of things. Because if our limited focus as human beings is what we know, and our brain filters out a lot. And your loved one, let's take the beach, for example, you sat side by side on the beach, that's a real memory, that's something that you can bring up in your mind. Your loved one will acutely experience that when you send that thought. Remember us sitting on the beach, I want to meet you in a place like that. It's inexpressible how real that is to them, and how multi-layered and extra dimensional that is to them. My spirit people, the good communicators who will come back and work with me and talk with me, and some of them have become guides for a time or whatever, will tell me, you think you're just imagining this place. We build it on a plane in the astral using our language so I can understand. And when it's time to meet meditation, we move it to a lower frequency so that you can really send your consciousness there, and we will meet you there. I mean, this is real stuff, because that other side of life is formed through thought. So what we think is meditation, to them is reality. So seriously, set up a time and a date and a place and make it as real as possible. And it works. Now, here's the caveat. It may not work the way you think it works. You might be sitting in that beach chair in your mind going, yeah, not feeling them, da, 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 da. Give up. Think, well, I'll do it next week. Same time, same place. Walk down the hallway and boom, you feel their presence right there. You can smell their cologne, da, 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 da. Why? Because maybe we come back to that relaxation. Maybe the pressure came off when you gave up in that session, but you set up everything perfectly. You raised your frequency. Your vibe is higher, your frequency is different. So it's work. There's no magic formula, but there is a process, and that's just one.
Yes, hi. I'm my
Hi.
first meeting here. I know I'm kind of speaking in probably under the wire here, but you had mentioned healing mediumship,
Yes.
and I'd never heard that phrase before, but that really intrigued me. So I
Well,
don't know if you
yeah.
can point me in the right
Sure.
direction and share more about that.
Sure. In mental mediumship, there's evidential mediumship, and that's giving the evidence of the survival of consciousness after physical death. There's something called physical mediumship, where the best way to define that in a very brief way is to say, in physical mediumship, every sitter in the room has a direct experience with spirit without a mediator. Then there is trance mediumship, where the medium, it's a form of mental mediumship that's more highly developed. I've sat in a trance class myself, and that person will do a very extended blending with the spirit. And in a deep trance, there's different levels of trance. They may even be completely unaware of what spirit says through them. And then there's healing mediumship. So there's different kinds of mediumship. Within healing mediumship, the strictest definition of the term would be the spirit doctors work through the medium. Healing mediumship has also been used as a label to explain people who are using things like pranic healing or Reiki, where they're transmitting the universal life force energy through themselves. So in a way, we're all mediums, aren't we? Because we're transmitters. We're here and we're in an illusion of separation because we're each in an individual physical body, that comes with joys and sorrows, blessings and curses, if you will. And our job is to tap into the oneness, to give healing and compassion to ourselves and to others. What's happening that I'm seeing, and some of the colleagues I've talked with are seeing, is that some of our mediumship students are saying, I feel called to be a healer, and not through evidential mediumship, but I want to have the spirit doctors work through me because the world needs more healing. Or they may say, I'm going to go back to school and be a counselor or something like that. But there's Baron. Say hi to Baron. Yeah, in case you guys didn't hear him shake, that shaking means I want a cookie or I have to go out. But anyway, so bottom line is, when I said that I'm seeing more people moving into healing mediumship, it's because the world needs healing.
Okay, thank you.
Boy, that's
Yeah,
the truth.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Susanne, that has been absolutely fabulous. And I don't know if you know this, but Susanne has always had a passion to improve mediumship as a teacher and as an administrator and as a researcher. And I strongly recommend her book, Soulsmart. If you haven't got it yet, please get it. It is absolutely fantastic. It's got some great scripts in it and some great scripts for meditation. Susanne, can you tell us a little bit about what other things you're doing and what you're offering at the moment?
Yes, go to carefreemedium.com. Get the newsletter so that you know what's going on. Get some free gifts with that as well. And on February 1st, I know people will be watching this a lot later, but on February 1st, part of you guys probably know Gretchen Bickert. She has the PET spirit group, and she's a renowned sound healer. She's invited me to be part of her Lunar New Year celebration that she's been doing for years and years at Unity here in Arizona. We're doing it online with the guest Karen Dahlman. That's February 1st. February 4th through 7th, I will be at the Conscious Life Expo in Los Angeles. I have a keynote and 3 other events. I'll also be on George Norrie's panel there. I'm doing group mediumship online. I'm sorry that I'm not doing the individual mediumship, but I'm working with people, helping them to meet their spirit guides. I feel like we're all being called upon to bring our very best to the world right now. And if there's a way that I can be of service to help you for part of that path, I'm here.